and welcome to the Ubuntu Podcast. It's Tuesday the 12th of April and we're going to discuss what's been happening in the news and in the community. I'm Laura and joining me this week are Martin.
Hello.
Mark.
Hello.
And Alan.
Hiya.
Hiya. How y'all doing?
Tickety boo.
Very well.
Yeah, what have you been up to since last time, Alan?
Oh, blimey. I got myself a new laptop and it's not
When you say new laptop,
new to me. As in, I didn't have this laptop before the last time I spoke to you. I get another ThinkPad, unsurprisingly.
Couldn't quite commit to a new
Well,
laptop.
they're really expensive, new laptops. So the one I really wanted was like something like a T460 or an X1 Carbon. But then I was reading loads of reviews on Reddit and other places, and there was this one guy who was reviewing every like T-series laptop, and he reviewed the T460 and said, well, actually I prefer the T450, and that sold it for me. I was like, okay. So I picked one up on eBay for like half the price of the T460, and so I'm happy.
Excellent.
I'm very, very, very happy.
So how old is the T450?
It's about a year old. It's last year's model.
Oh, right. So actually quite new then.
It's one generation behind the one that they're currently selling. So they're currently selling the T460, which only just came out. So it's only just the last model, and it's still got a couple of years warranty on it. And it's lovely, 16 gig of RAM, big SSD,
Nice.
HD screen, all that kind of stuff. And it's a ThinkPad, so it's awesome.
Cool. So you're all set up and installed now?
Yep, I installed 1604. Well, I turned it on, and the first thing I did was boot into Windows and check there are any firmware updates, because I thought, well, just easily get that out of the way. So I did that.
Yeah.
Pro tip.
And then wiped it, nuked it, and put Ubuntu on it. Done. Happy.
Cool.
Now to retire the X220. To the shelf, the graveyard shelf of ThinkPads.
You've had that a long time.
Yeah.
I've been eating chocolate from Easter Mosley still.
Is that your primary thing that you've been doing for the last 2 weeks?
I think so. I think we should probably just get on with the show.
Hey.
now it's time for the news. And first up, a story. Oh no, sorry, Alan, you're supposed to be telling us this, apparently.
Okay.
Smooth.
Microsoft and Canonical have announced Ubuntu for Windows, a system allowing Linux binaries to run on their Windows platform. Yes,
Ooh.
they timed the announcement of this perfectly to be so that we couldn't announce it last week when we recorded our show.
As we were recording.
However, it does mean that we've now had a chance to learn a few more things about it other than it's happening.
Yes, it's called Windows Subsystem for Linux, or WSL for short, and it
Not Linux subsystem for Windows.
No, it's Windows Subsystem for Linux.
Okay.
And it's like a reverse wine. So, like, wine allows you to run Windows binaries using, like, translating the API calls for Windows stuff to let you run Windows stuff on Linux. This is the other way around. It translates the Linux system calls to Windows, so you can run Linux binaries on Windows. It's cool.
So you can do apt-get install on Windows and it will install your favourite Ubuntu packages?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
It'll install all of them. There's a few that won't run. So some of the like screen and tmux stuff doesn't work, and there's no facility to run X applications. And I don't know if there's no facility to run X applications at the moment, or there will never be.
Well, they did actually say they can't. They don't plan to do graphical applications.
Yeah, I didn't think they would.
Enterprising people have figured out that you can just run an X server like MinGW or whatever it's called, or Xming, or on Windows, and then export your display server to the Windows X server, and then just run X apps inside the Ubuntu on Windows, and they appear on your Windows desktop. So
That's clever.
yeah, you can kind of do it.
Though, yeah, that does mean having to have a second pretend Linux environment. As well as your...
It's not a pretend Linux environment, is it?
Well...
No, I think
suppose
this is a much more real Linux environment than we've had available in the past.
Yes, certainly.
I had to sort of put my curmudgeonly 1990s Unix guy on the shelf whilst I thought about this, and he's still sat on the shelf and he's still got opinions about this, but in the main I think this is absolutely fabulous. And a few years ago I was working on a project where I needed to get the company I was working for at the time, our Linux applications running on Windows and I'll just call them developers for simplicity because people understand that, but developers who were running a version of our applications which were designed to run in a Linux environment on their Windows desktops. And this was an excruciatingly painful and hateful experience, getting that all to work and to get it to go through the test suites and the continuous integration. And I would have smeared myself with honey and run naked through a wood full of bears to have this a few years ago.
There's an image for you, listeners.
I am so pleased that this exists, because the next time I'm confronted with having to do something on a Windows machine, I know that I have got all of the tools that I'm familiar with in order to make this infinitely easier to do. And that's from sort of a DevOps CI point of view. And I can't imagine how developers must feel about it.
I can tell you how developers must feel about it if you'd like.
Go on then.
Are you a developer, Mark?
He's the only real developer here, isn't he?
Yes, I am. Well, I can tell you how this developer feels about it as a developer who is forced to use Windows for his workstation, even though his development targets Linux and the web. So we basically develop with we have like the Windows version of PHP and Apache installed, but then we also have Git for Windows, which installs MinGW and runs on top of that, which is, I think, a fork of Cygwin, basically. So this is stuff recompiled for Windows, and it's very limited in what it actually provides for you. And it would be lovely just to be able to not worry about having to get all of the, the Windows versions of PHP and the Windows versions of Apache and just get install everything and get on with it. And more than one occasion I've found trying to install a development tool and they just say, no Windows support, no developers work on Windows. Why would we bother?
And so, I've heard that
just
too.
Being able to,
someone pinged me. I was chatting on Mumble on another server yesterday, and he was like, "This is amazing. I have to use Windows, and now I can just open a shell and run all the things that I like running on Linux, but I can do it on my Windows work machine. This is brilliant. I need this."
Yeah.
It's not for everyone, because you have to be a Windows 10 insider, and that's kind of like, running bleeding edge beta stuff, and you have to dial the slide. There's like a slider that you have to dial up for, how much crack you want, and you have to kind of push it all the way over to the right hand side to say, I really, really want this on my machine. But once you jump through that hoop, I imagine it will become like available more widespread.
That's just temporary whilst it's going through its teething.
And it's not finished.
Yeah.
So is Windows 10 out now?
Yes. Been out for a while.
Okay. Yeah. So when is this likely to be out?
It's already out.
I know, but if you're not an insider,
I don't know. I don't know. That's who knows.
Not long, I don't think. They've made a big song and dance. I know some of the developers at work have got access to this and have installed it. Almost exclusively the people at work are developing on Linux, and those that have got Windows machines at home have installed this and brought it and went, look, see, it's Ubuntu running on Windows. I went, but I'm already running, Ubuntu, so hey ho. But for people that are stuck in a Linux, confined in a Windows cage, and they want those Linux tools, then this is just fantastic. And Git is a brilliant example, because getting Git to do anything sensible on Windows at the moment is just painful.
There's been a lot of negativity, mostly from the greybeards of the Linux world, who maybe have long memories of Microsoft being evil, and this is another example of them being evil, and foresee this as the end of days and yet another example of Canonical doing the wrong thing. And I think people are just going to have to make up their own mind. I personally, I think this is great for Windows users. I'm not target market. I'm never going to be the person who runs this, but if
not just Windows users, but those people that have to use Windows that would rather they weren't using Windows, as I've said, and Mark has said, and countless other people have said over the last couple of weeks. And that old Microsoft hating, Unix guy he still doesn't know what to make of this. I'm still a little bit uncomfortable with this. It's great. I can see all of the advantages of it, but over the last 20 years, Microsoft have done so many bad things. I look at this and I just think, oh, please let this be the thing that they don't use as a stick to beat us with in 2 or 3 years' time, and time will tell. So I'm just trying to sort of keep that side of my personality in a box over this, because I can see so many advantages.
Funny, because internally we were all wondering what's going on here as well, because I didn't actually find out about this until an hour before it was demoed on stage. So most of the company didn't know about this, as far as I can tell. And so all our mailing lists and IRC channels and Telegram groups and stuff lit up with everyone discussing it exactly the same as everyone externally is. And, pondering what the future holds for everything, really. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, and we'd be love to hear your feedback on that subject and anything else in our news. Shall we move on?
So, it's not all Windows love, because Linux has been trouncing Windows when running the Talos principle using the new Vulkan drivers.
Take that, Windows.
Okay, in English?
It's a game, and it's a game that works better on us than them. There you go.
Yes,
right.
Yes, that's basically it. So, Phoronix, who are the bastions of scientific method and benchmarking for the Linux world, and because they've written this, it's therefore true, and I'm claiming it as a win in my predictions.
I was going to say, you did say something quite a lot like this.
It was an accumulator prediction that ended in this, that Linux would outperform Windows using Vulkan on equivalent hardware, and that's effectively what Phoronix have indisputably proven.
Maybe they're going through our predictions to try and test them all.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they went to NVIDIA and said, hey, can you make the Windows driver really terrible, just so that Martin gets one up over the rest of the gang?
Yeah. Just for this month, just so I secure the win, because it's ever indelibly etched in the internet now, and I was right.
Hey, good to hear.
So yeah, they tested Windows 10 and Ubuntu 16.04 with 3 NVIDIA cards and the latest drivers, and across the board, Ubuntu was faster than Windows 10 on Vulkan running the Talos principle.
Also, aside,
Brilliant.
The Talos principle is a really nice game. It's a really beautiful game, puzzle thing. But
right.
Yeah, it's a first-person puzzle game, and it's really, really, really pretty. I like it. It's good.
Ooh.
What's next?
So Red Hat have offered free Red Hat Enterprise Linux subscriptions to developers.
Wait, what?
Yes, because you have to pay.
Free Linux? They're giving away Linux? No
Ubuntu
way.
on Windows and free Red Hat. Is the sky falling?
I know.
What do you get?
The I don't know.
Basically, you get a license to use Red Hat Enterprise Linux for free, but you don't get any support.
Yes.
Okay. So do you get updates?
You get access to
Red
some
Hat Network and all that
tools.
kind of stuff?
Sorry?
Do you
I think
get
so, yes.
Red Hat Network so you can get your updates and stuff?
Because that's the main.
Yeah, I think so.
Because that's the main thing you don't get if you install RHEL normally, without a subscription. But also, if you're a member of the Red Hat Developer Program, you get a free copy of the Red Hat JBoss middleware portfolio.
Okay. Sounds super.
Wow, we're all really excited about this.
Well,
I'm
actually,
not commenting.
I was just going to say, this thing, Red Hat targeting developers, the whole Ubuntu on Microsoft Windows. And I know there's been some snide remarks about Ubuntu on Windows and the year of the Linux desktop, but this year, more than any other, it does actually feel like it's the year of the Linux desktop, in that the Linux is on the desktop for more and more developers, because it is the platform that has the most momentum and traction for contemporary software development.
Is this how we hit
everybody wants to be a part of that now.
Is this how we hit the 200 million? By just like a Trojan horse on Windows?
200 million developers.
Yeah. We have an app in the Microsoft App Store, whatever the heck that's called, that is Ubuntu for Windows, and therefore it is the year of the Linux desktop because Ubuntu is running on Windows.
Okay, moving on.
Ubuntu is now available on IBM's Linux One platform.
Is that the new great big black computer that sits in big rooms?
Big sexy
Yes.
one.
Yeah, it looks like
It's
a coffin.
big server with lots of hardware in it and Ubuntu.
Oh, very sleek.
It's nice. And what did it run? So it now runs Ubuntu. What did it previously run?
I think OpenSUSE was
I think
one of
it
the
runs
platforms.
KVM on the like bare metal, and then previously you could run OpenSUSE on top of that,
Cool.
and now you can run Ubuntu as well.
Excellent. We run on everything.
This is
Yep.
massive transactional power.
So is this a new architecture, or is it?
Isn't it PowerPC? Isn't it power based?
Oh, okay.
It's the S390, is it?
Yeah, Linux has always run on Z. Well, I say always, obviously not since the beginning of time, but
Yes, but I mean, Ubuntu is
After the
basically
dinosaurs were wiped out.
for as
ARM
long as
and-
I've been writing documentation at IBM, there has been Linux for Z.
Yes, well, I mean, Ubuntu is nominally released for x86 and now ARM. So I didn't really know if this was one of those, or if it's some other architecture that's specific to IBM's hardware.
Tell you.
I think it's PowerPC, isn't it?
Right.
Power.
Okay.
Sorry, not PowerPC. Power.
Right.
Yes, I think so.
power rate, yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure someone will write in. Someone who works for IBM will write in and tell us how terrible we are.
Yeah.
at all this
If only
kind
we
of
knew someone to ask who
stuff.
worked for
It's a
IBM.
disaster, isn't it?
Work in that area. It's a big company.
Okay, moving on. Your friend and mine, Richard Stallman, has weighed in with an article on ZFS and Linux licensing because we didn't have
And
enough
what
of
does
those.
he think?
So his point is he believes, or the FSF believes, that Linux plus ZFS is a GPL infringement. Sound the alarm. It's a GPL infringement. Exactly.
Release the hounds.
It was and they don't want to tell Linux copyright holders what to do, but generally support GPL enforcement. So that's basically that guy over there, he's doing something wrong. I'm not saying you should go and do anything about it, but if you did, I'll be fine. So I think Richard Stallman talks like that. Send the heavies over. So this is good. There's more articles about this than we need, but it's all good to have opinions from all over the place.
No one sued anyone yet. Just lots of people talking.
I think it's fitting that months after everyone else has finished talking about this, that RMS and the Free Software Foundation have, weighed in with their point of view, late and irrelevant.
I don't know. To be fair, I think, it's one of those things that you need a bit of ruminating and thinking about. It's not one of those things that, it's not like someone shows you a cupcake and you decide whether you like it or not. It's a deep topic that needs a lot of thought, and I think he's thought about it a lot and has written an interesting article. Don't agree with it, but there you go. Martin.
Right. In the internet of rubbish news, the Resistance shut down a Skynet server. Thousands of Terminators drop out of the sky.
Oh no, it's the end of the world.
What am I reading about here?
Actually,
I don't know anything about
this. What happened was Google shut down a server and some home proprietary automation kit became bricked. But the way everyone wrote it was like it was Skynet and Terminators and the world is ending. And
This is
it's not
a product which they got when they acquired Nest, isn't it?
Yeah, and they've shut it down. So
it's fine. It's fine because Google might be the Skynet, but they're selling off Boston Dynamics. So the robot Terminators that were going to kill us all aren't going to be under Google's control anymore.
Oh.
Somebody else will get to have
that's
those.
all right then. At the end of the news,
I think so.
I think so. And now it's time for some community news and events. And first up, the next generation XPS 13 developer editions are available in Europe.
Yay!
And we spoke about these a couple of weeks ago, and I went fantasy shopping and priced one up and realised I couldn't afford them.
They're not cheap.
Incredibly expensive.
this is why I got a second-hand ThinkPad. You see, it totally makes sense now. Like we lust after these lovely, lovely devices, and if if somebody else was paying for it for me, then yeah, I might. But I got my laptop allowance over a year ago and spent it on a TV. I didn't buy a laptop, so I'm not even
Was that
kidding.
TV you were planning to run Ubuntu on?
No, it doesn't
but
even
never
run.
happened.
It's not even Ubuntu TV. Yeah, That's a bit of a shame. These laptops do look nice, and you're supporting Ubuntu if you buy one of these things, if you have deep enough pockets that you can buy one.
Deep enough pockets, or you don't buy every other gadget going as well. That's my approach.
Well,
and also I wasn't actually speccing up the XPS 13. It was one of the precisions or something that I was, because the XPS 13s are kind of like fixed spec, but the others you can really configure.
Are those the ones that are a bit thicker, that are like more like a normal laptop, like a ThinkPad?
What's next?
Mike Hall has published the latest community donations report. This is something that he collates periodically. He was a little bit behind with this one, and due to busyness, and collated it and published it, and it's linked all over the place with details of what the community fund money gets spent on. So if you're interested in knowing, where the donations go when you download Ubuntu and you donate some money, if you tick the little box or slide the slider that says community, that money comes to us and we dish it back out to people who request it for various community related events and things, and you can go through that report and see what we spent it on.
Oh.
The Ubuntu IRC Council election results have been announced, so congratulations to Elkie Flannel, Tumty, and Unit 193. Well done, all of you.
Good old Unit 193.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We'll put a link to the announcement.
Maybe list the actual IRC nicks as well.
Those are the IRC nicks.
I know, but you may not have been able to read them from what I said.
No, I think that was perfectly clear.
And the voting never stops. We also have the nominations for the Ubuntu Technical Board coming up.
There's a load of names.
I'm not going to read all of them out because it's a very long list, but they include some people we've mentioned on the show and other people we haven't.
There's a couple we've interviewed before, in fact.
So we'll put a link to those.
Yes.
All but 3 of those people have contributed to Ubuntu Mate in one way or another.
Nicely done. Done.
We know who gets Martin's vote.
I was not seeing any other opportunity to get the name in this podcast, so I just thought I'd quickly, go for it.
Speaking of popular Ubuntu derivatives, Martin.
Yes, there is the Ubuntu Budgie Remix sees its beta release for its 1604 spin. So they've released a beta 2 alongside the rest of the flavours, and this is really shaping up to look like a really nice addition to the family. So I'm rooting for those guys. Yeah, well, I feel like part of the family now. I think, join in.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So yeah, I'm hoping
another flavour coming along, and
always there's a little bit of cooperation and competitiveness between all of the flavours, I think, but mostly collaboration. So it'd be good to see another member to the Ubuntu clan come along and hopefully help contribute to the release management for those cycles that aren't managed by the canonical staffers. But the Budgie's looking really good on Ubuntu, and I wish them every success, and I hope that they get official status soon.
Super. Also, there's been a new announcement of Ubuntu, a new release of Ubuntu Make 1603. Ubuntu Make is this tool that you can install on Ubuntu that you can then use to install developer tools that you might need.
Cool.
And this one features Eclipse JEE, IntelliJ EAP, Kotlin, and a bunch of fixes. And I don't know what any of those are, so that's awesome. But
I know what
Java EE development.
Not a developer, so I can claim ignorance on that. That's fine. But
I read that as Ubuntu Mate.
Excellent.
Is that bad?
Yes. What's this last one, Laura?
So all the PPAs have been re-signed. I believe this is because the encryption, turns out somebody discovered the encryption level wasn't very high.
Yeah, so this I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. SHA-1 and DSA have been removed from newer versions of apt, and there was some fallout from this, and one of the bits of fallout was that the PPAs were previously signed with SHA-1. So Colin Watson has been working on re-signing all of the PPAs. And if you just imagine how many PPAs there must be and re-signing all of those and writing the stuff to go and trawl it and do it, it must be a monumental effort. But they've all been re-signed now, and all of the warnings have gone away when you do your apt-get updates.
Oh, is that why those warnings were appearing?
Yes, and that's why you still see them for some third-party repositories.
Right. And this is the ones you mentioned last time that you've been chasing down to get them to update.
That's right.
Their repos.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Indeed.
Awesome.
So, next up, we've got some events.
Ooh.
Laura, what's the first event?
Yeah, so we've got the Egham Raspberry Jam. We mentioned this last time, I think, that it's got a big and small theme, so any big and small Raspberry Pi projects you may have, bring them along.
No medium-sized ones.
No, not at all. You have to be more extreme than that. And that's at Staines-upon-Thames in the UK on Sunday the 24th of April.
And where can you find out more about
on
that?
the website, which I'll put a link to in the show notes.
Excellent. I'm going to that one.
Sorry,
Can't
Emil.
wait. Taking my first proper Pi project as well.
Ooh.
What is that then?
It's a small one.
Okay.
And what's the Pi project?
It's a picture frame.
Ooh.
So I'm using a Raspberry Pi and their 7-inch touchscreen to make a picture frame that you can send your photos from your phone to over Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Cool.
I did that with an old O2 juggler.
I just
someone was
knew you were
gonna
going to
say
mention O2 juggler.
Is that the butchered O2 juggler?
Yeah.
Awesome. Moving on. Linux Fest Northwest is in Bellingham, USA, Washington, I think.
Washington, I think
Yep.
we established that. And I think you'll find it's Bellingham.
Bellingham features internationally recognized speakers. Does that mean just recognized in North America? I don't know. Interesting exhibits
And Canada.
And Canada, of course. And demonstrations. Admission is free and all ages are welcome. It's the same weekend as the Egham Raspberry Jam, so you're going to have to make a decision there about which one you go to. 23rd, 24th of April.
And there's another Raspberry Jam. This time it's in June, on the 5th of June, which is a Sunday. And it's at Blackgang Chine Theme Park on the Isle of Wight, right at the very bottom of the Isle of Wight. And it's free and everyone's welcome, but you don't get free entry to the theme park itself, but it's there. And you can bring your Pi projects along to show off and to discuss with other Pi enthusiasts. And you could also chat with the Blackgang Chine staff and Robin Hill staff, which is another theme park nearby, about how they use Pis to power the parks, really, including the dinosaurs.
Awesome.
Do they allow medium-sized projects there?
Yeah, I think so. They're less... Yes.
I'm so disappointed I'm going to be on holiday that weekend.
Oh.
I would have loved to have gone to that.
I might be there.
Yeah, that sounds like good fun. I might try and have an excuse to bring the kids down there, actually.
Mm.
And next up we have FOSS Talk Live, a free evening of live Linux podcasts featuring Linux Voice, Linux Luddites, and us.
Yay!
And others.
And others. And yeah, I don't know why it says on the thing. I guess it says on the banner, it says Linux Voice, Linux Luddites, Ubuntu Podcast, and Stuart Language, and
Graham.
no,
Dave Mega
Mega
Slippers.
Slippers, it says. What?
It's because they couldn't drag the rest of their podcasters along.
Right. They should have called it like Bad Outlaws or something, like a mixture of Bad Voltage and Linux Outlaws or something. I don't know. I'm just freewheeling here. I don't know.
Yes.
These ideas are free.
This is in King's Cross in London.
At the Harrison
and
Inn.
it's on Saturday the 6th of August, and you can go to fosstalk.com to find out more and get your tickets.
Which are in
and
limited
come and
supply.
see us
But
talk
free.
in a pub.
Mm.
And last up in the events this week, it's UbuCon Europe, the very first European Ubuntu conference, has been announced for November. It's taking place on the 18th to the 20th of November at the Unperfect House in Essen, Germany. The link to the event will be in the show notes, and I was fortunate enough to go to the Unperfect House in Essen a couple of years ago when I went to the X2Go gathering, and I can't think of a better place to have an event like this. It's like the most epic makerspace in the universe.
Excellent. Oh, that's good to hear. And that's in November. Look forward to that.
Yes.
Awesome. That's all the events and everything.
We love getting your feedback, so please send it to us. Even the pointlessly mean stuff makes us laugh. If it's short, tweet us on @Ubuntu Podcast. If it's less short, email us on show@ubuntupodcast.org. If you'd like to discuss some of the things we talk about with other listeners, post on our shiny new subreddit at reddit.com/r/Ubuntu Podcast. Or you can just leave a comment on the relevant show notes on our website, ubuntupodcast.org. And that's all for episode 7. We'll be back next week when we'll be discussing how to fix your computer when you run Ubuntu. And we'll bring you some command line love.
Excellent. This sounds like someone may have some experience here of fixing their computer.
Yes.
Can I fix my audio? My audio keeps dropping out.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
See you soon. Bye.
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 Say bye then, Mark. Go on, somebody say it. Stop recording.